Good morning. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to share this week's devotional with you. And this morning we're going to take a quick look at one of my very favorite Bible stories, and that's the story of the woman who was caught in adultery, and that comes to us from John chapter 8, verses 2 through 11. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Early in the morning, Jesus came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down and began to teach them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and making her stand before all of them, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. What do you say?" They said this to test him, so that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. So the first two, three verses really set the stage and set the background for this question that's being posed to Jesus. First of all, we're told this woman has been caught in the very act of committing adultery. She isn't going to be able to argue that there was some misunderstanding or that some jealous neighbor came up with a lie to tell about her. For the purposes of this story, this woman is guilty without question. And the law of Moses referred to by the scribes and Pharisees is equally clear and to the point. And it comes from Leviticus, which reads, "If a man commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress shall be put to death." There are no alternate sentencing guidelines. The punishment is death. So the religious authorities bring this woman to Jesus at the temple, and they pose a question of him. "Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now, what do you say?" And this certainly wasn't because they placed any particular value on Jesus's opinion in this matter. We're told they wanted to test him, or more accurately, to trap him, and that their ultimate goal was to come up with some charge to bring against him. As far as they can see, there isn't a safe answer to this question for Jesus. If he says, yes, go ahead and stone her, then he's betrayed his ministry of love and compassion for sinners. His popularity with the masses will evaporate, and he'll no longer be a threat to the established religious authorities, which these scribes and Pharisees represent. But if he says, no, show her mercy, his followers will be pleased, but he will have clearly rejected the law of Moses. No doubt religious charges would be brought against him very, very quickly. So what does Jesus do? He hunkers down and doodles in the dirt, we're told. And by all appearances at this point, he's playing for time. It seems pretty clear right now that this clever trap has worked. And you can picture the scene going on around them, this woman weeping at the thought of the horrible death that clearly awaits her. And she's surrounded by these gray-bearded zealots clutching stones that they just can't wait to start hurling in her direction. So now we'll pick back up with John's gospel, read a bit more. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And then once again, he bent down and wrote on the ground. So Jesus does the unexpected. He doesn't betray his ministry of love and peace, and he doesn't reject the law of Moses. He thinks outside of the box and adds a qualifier to the law. Yes, go ahead and stone her, but let whoever among you is without sin be the first to cast a stone. What he's really saying is, by the law of Moses, she clearly deserves to be killed. But are any of you so innocent as to be worthy of carrying out the execution? And we read on in John through the end of the tale. When they heard it, they went away, one by one, beginning with the elders, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus straightened up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, sir." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on, do not sin again." And so the religious leaders leave one by one. You can picture them hanging their heads in shame as they turn away, and you can almost hear the thump, thump, thump as they drop their unused stones to the ground. And with that, the woman is given both forgiveness and a fresh start. Jesus says, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way, and from now on, do not sin again." Now, when you get your Bibles out later to read and reflect on this passage, and I'm sure everybody who watches this is going to do that, you'll notice that chapter 8 of John is set off by double brackets surrounding the entirety of the chapter. And there should be some kind of a footnote informing you that this story, along with the rest of chapter 8, was a later addition to John's Gospel. That's right, this wonderful story wasn't originally part of John's Gospel. The evidence indicates that it was added later by some unknown scribe. Now, almost certainly this story was part of the oral traditions of Jesus circulating at the time the Gospels were written. Perhaps John wasn't aware of this particular story, or maybe he couldn't find a place for it in his Gospel. But someone shortly thereafter saw fit to add it, and I'm enormously thankful that they did, because it's just a wonderful story. In reading this, I was struck by there being two layers of additions at work here. First, Jesus adds a critical qualifier to the law of Moses: let whoever among you who is without sin cast the first stone. And then we have the unknown scribe who added this story to John's Gospel. Both cases taking something good and making it better by an addition. And I've struggled to expand on the theme of addition here, but I really haven't been able to take it very far. So I'm going to open this up to be a virtual discussion. I'd really appreciate it if you would post whatever thoughts or questions you might have on the Facebook link for this video. I'd really love to hear what you have to say and maybe get an actual discussion going. Thank you very much.